What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. I got a big update here for you guys on a couple different viruses that are spreading here right now. We have a new confirmed death here in a different state that is a different state than the lockdowns that are happening here. I'll give you details here on that, as well as school closures that are happening now with a different virus. So we got a lot of updates here for you guys here happening right now. A lot of this is very unexpected, and a lot of people are like, wow, what is happening? This is happening all over again here. We have several different viruses that are going around here right now. If you've been watching my channel, it's like, wow, what is going on here? This is kind of crazy here. And I will give you all the details here right now here in this video. Let's jump right in. We are live right now on YouTube. So if you can see and hear me, let me know in the chat. Type yes if you want to. Let me know where you're tuning in from, your city, state, or even country where you're tuning in from, as we actually have people tuning in from pretty much everywhere here. Also, thank you so much for hitting the like button for us. And if you haven't yet, subscribe down below, click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live, which is normally at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, here we go. Big update. Check this out. Okay, just got this details. A healthy 41-year-old man. This is actually 2 years younger than me. I'm 43 years old. Dies from a mosquito-borne virus called triple E, Eastern equine encephalitis. Sudden and rare. A New Hampshire man has died after contacting Eastern equine encephalitis, a rare but serious viral disease spread by mosquitoes. What to know about the symptoms? I'll actually show you a news clip here. This is actually in now 5 different states. We have um, the other virus, West Nile virus, in 33 different states. And we also have, which is very serious as well and could lead to death. We also have school closures coming from another virus here in 2 Republican states as well, which might shock a lot of people that it's, not coming from the Democrats. I know I'm going to see that in the comments here. School closures coming from 2 Republican states that I'll give you the details here on that here in a moment. But this comes from a healthy 41-year-old man from Eastern encephalitis, that's known as triple E here. And you can see here a rare mosquito-borne virus. Up to 1/3 of people who develop symptoms die. And they say that a lot of the other people who do catch this get serious, long-lasting symptoms. So this can be a very, very serious stuff here. 5 states are now seeing cases as this is starting to spread. The 5 states here are Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Vermont, Wisconsin have reported cases. The states announced plans to spray for mosquitoes and asked residents to take Wisconsin to take Wisconsin as I read that here. Asked residents to take precautions. There are several cities in Wisconsin. I still have Wisconsin on the brain. There are several cities in Massachusetts that have lockdowns, that have issued lockdowns. I'll link you to that other video here at the end of this video or in the description. You can watch that here if you've been watching my previous video, or if you're subscribed, you've seen that video, or you can watch that video here at the end. So Rhode Island is going to be dropping mosquito larvicide in Washington County. Other states are doing this here as well. As Rhode Island said, they're now at a significant risk of triple E. Rhode Island says they face a elevated risk of the rare but potentially deadly mosquito-borne disease, officials said. By the way, larvicide um, is a insecticide that is specifically targeted against the larval life stage of an insect. Yeah, so I found that interesting in case you didn't know what larvicide was. So I also found this interesting. I mentioned this in another previous video, but at the end, if you didn't stay to the end to watch this, globally, nearly 400 million people are infected with a mosquito-borne disease every year. That's more than the entire population of the United States. And that kills around 700,000 people every year, according to the statement from, this is actually from Paul Rand. Paul Rand. Uh, that's not Rand Paul, I believe. That's Paul Rand. 400 million people are infected with a mosquito-borne disease every year, and that kills around 700,000 people every year. You're probably familiar with some of these diseases like yellow fever, West Nile virus, Zika, or malaria. Take a listen here to this and let me know your thoughts.
This morning, communities are on alert during peak mosquito season with new concerns that the insects may be carrying deadly diseases.
They can get out of control and do a lot of damage.
This year, mosquitoes have been linked to two dangerous illnesses, West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis, or triple E, a rare but very serious virus that can cause severe swelling of the brain. In New Hampshire, a man who was bitten by a mosquito later died of triple E, identified by his family as 41-year-old Stephen Perry. It's New Hampshire's first human case of the virus in a decade. Cases have also popped up in Wisconsin, Vermont, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, where spraying began Tuesday night.
Our kids are, they get bit a lot, so I wouldn't want them to get anything like that. I'm glad that they're trying to mitigate it.
Experts say the triple E virus is very rare, but troubling.
It's an infection that no one ever wants to get, and we can prevent it by avoiding getting bitten by mosquitoes.
Concerns are also growing about West Nile virus, which has been found in 33 states as mosquito numbers rise in the late summer.
This year it's been horrible.
But experts say Americans can still enjoy the upcoming holiday weekend with precautions.
Mosquitoes are predominantly out very early in the morning or in dusk, in the evening. So that's the time where you want to be more cautious.
And experts say there is more you can do, including wearing long sleeves and pants, keeping screens in open windows, removing that standing water around your property, and of course, applying that insect repellent.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts there. And, another thought, I mean, I get that spraying this stuff, that insecticide and pesticide and all this stuff kills the mosquitoes. But on the other hand, I also kind of think that how many people are actually breathing that stuff in? So, yeah, how many kids are breathing that stuff in? Adults are breathing that stuff in. People are outside when they're spraying that stuff, or it lingers around. Kind of little bit of a catch-22 there. Let me know your thoughts in the chats or the comments. Next up, COVID surge forces schools to close and bring back pandemic-era measures, and more are at risk as millions head back to class. Next week, in some cases, it's already classes back in. In fact, in Ohio, schools back in as well. Schools in 2 states experience a rise in COVID cases, announced they're closing facilities and switching to remote learning. Yeah, so check this out here. Schools in Alabama and Tennessee announcing closures of 2 schools affecting more than 1,000 children just days into the new academic year, with officials saying the virus had forced them to shut and carry out a deep clean. At one of the schools, children had to abandon their desks and revert to remote learning for 2 days, a move reminiscent of the early days of the virus. The closures, both in Republican states, came despite a mountain of evidence suggesting they hamper children's learning. But on the other hand, it prevents the spread of the virus, which can go home to elderly adults. I mean, I'll get to this here in a second. How my father here had it, and my wife's father just got sick. Social interactions, and ability to develop natural immunity to common infection. And there are fears that more disruption could be in store for students in the coming months, with many schools in states like New York, New Jersey, and Michigan returning after the Labor Day weekend. So it says here that Johnson Abernathy Greats, known as ironically Jab, high school in Montgomery, Alabama, which has 1,500 students in. So that's a big, well, maybe for 4 grades. Seems like a pretty decent sized school. In grades 9 through 12, made the decision to switch to virtual classes just 4 days into its new academic year, after 15 teachers caught the virus. There was no data on how many students were infected as well. Um, yeah, so that's in Montgomery, Alabama. Stegall Elementary in Western Tennessee also closed for a day just a week into the new term. So, literally, the second day into the new school year had to close already. And honestly, guys, this is just the beginning. Let's be honest. If these are in Republican states, this is just the beginning. I know we're going to see a lot. If you've been watching me for years, you know I'm not on either side of the spectrum. I just call it as I see it. Um, this is just the beginning. And when cases are really spiking, and if there's hundreds of students catching it, um, we're going to see schools closing for a few days, 2 to 5 days, 7 days, 3 days. I don't know, but this is what they're doing. I'm not in charge, but this is just what they're doing to prevent the spread of infection. My father, who let me think about this. I think my father's like 73, and my wife's father, my father-in-law, is like 72. My father was just in the hospital 3 times. He had a stroke, and then he had COVID. He was just in the hospital 3 times. And now my wife's father, my father-in-law, was just extremely sick. He had he went and they didn't see each other, because when my father got home from his trip that my sister took him on, after he got out of the hospital the first time, he then caught COVID. And as soon as he got home, he didn't see anybody. He literally stayed home. And then my father-in-law got sick, like, I don't know, like a week or two later or something like that. Okay. They didn't see each other, so they didn't catch it from each other at all. Okay. So, and Julian hasn't even really been sick. Okay, my son. So they're not even related. Okay, but Mike, my father-in-law, got sick. He just went and got tested, and they tested him for like everything, like the flu, COVID, everything, and the tests actually came back negative. Okay, the tests actually came back negative. So apparently it was just a cold, but he was very, very, very sick. He told us he was really, really sick, and he's a very healthy guy. Like, he goes golfing all the time. When we go to like parks and stuff, he walks faster than me. Now, I'm a pretty fit guy. I mean, I can keep up with him, but I don't actually don't choose to walk that fast, because he's like a Superman out there. But he was really sick. Okay, so he was really sick. So I'm just saying, like, it's going around, these sicknesses, these viruses. So, like, if you got out, and remember, when these kids catch it at school, they bring it home to mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, so the immunocompromised people. So, like, you got to keep that in mind, that, like, this stuff spreads around to people and to different people. And, like, there is cause for concern here. Like I get that like not everybody has the same point of view, and not everybody is like, hey, you know, I know we're gonna see comments like, hey, go get your seventh jab. And yeah, I get it that not not everybody thinks about it the same way. But you also gotta also be like, hey, we also don't want to spread. Like, for example, my dad was just in the hospital 3 times. So like you have to also gotta consider that like I don't want my dad to die. So like for example, when we get sick, whether it's us, my parents, or her parents, we literally say, don't come over, or we're sick. We don't have anybody come over, no matter what kind of sickness it is. So if we're sick, nobody comes over. Or if my parents are sick, don't come over because we just don't want to spread it to each other. That's just like, in my opinion, common sense. Like if we're sick, we don't say, hey, everybody, come on over and get sick. It's just smart to me. I'm just a realist, right? If I'm sick, I don't have the whole family come over. But again, I just use common sense, which to most people isn't common. So that you would think that would kind of make sense with the schools that like if there's a rampant virus with hundreds of kids going around, maybe remote learning for a few days until it calms down isn't a bad thing. But of course, you're going to have other people to be like, oh my God, it's infringing on our rights. But if it's just for a few days, but you got to remember here that like there's people that literally die from this stuff because they're, old and I get that the kids aren't, but when they take it home, this stuff spreads like wildfire. So you got to kind of just use a little bit of common sense here. These are Republican states that are shutting down. And this is just the beginning, like literally school's in its first week. So this is what's going to happen here. Um, this is just the reality of things, you know. So everybody's gonna have a different opinion on things, but this is what's happening. I'm showing you guys the news here. I'm not in charge of this stuff, but this is what's happening here. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I will keep you up to date here on all this stuff as it's happening. So make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on new updates as they're happening. You'll get updates, and also make sure to like these videos, share these videos with anybody that needs to hear this information. Click here to see how all Americans' social security numbers were just hacked. Really big video that you need to see here. So click here to watch that next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.